Welcome back to File New. My name's Ryan Selvy. This is your number one stop for creator news, designer news, art news, everything, all the above, and more. Today on the show, we've got a lot of really exciting updates for some Photoshop. We have Firefly updates. We have a cool badge run through of things that people really like to use in Illustrator when they're creating badges. We have some rebrands, including the Range Rover rebrand, which is controversial. It's how to make some holograph stuff, camera crew. I don't want to give it all away, but we've got plenty to get into. I'm glad that you're here. We're here for the next hour for a good old rundown, and let's go ahead and hop straight into the news. Whoa, talk about a jump scare. Sorry for that. I didn't realize I also had my audio output on, but at least everybody's awake now, and we're ready to hop into the show. But thank you for being here. I guess the first thing that we should get into is the Photoshop updates. There are some powerful new Photoshop updates that were announced on Macs as some sneaks that are now finally officially available as the output for the official public beta. And it is stuff that I have been very, very excited about and waiting for. First and foremost, probably the thing that I'm most excited about is Harmonize. It is a way for you to take your pictures and your edits and make everything feel all together. And feel way more cohesive, feel way more like grounded in a place without having to go through all of the overhead of trying to figure out blending tools and da-da-da-da. And you can still edit on top of that, but it gets you to the point where you can just take a random picture, you can then take another random picture, and you can say, make this feel grounded. And it suddenly does the work for you and outputs it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hop online. I'm going to grab a random picture for us that we can grab, and I'm going to merge the two just to show you what it looks like. And you can quickly see how revolutionary this is going to be, maybe for everybody else, but mostly just for me. And it has been showcased a bit. You can access all of this through the public beta. It is something, let's get some ideas here. So let's do like, let's grab, okay, this is a good street picture. This is from Mac, and this one just goes by MAK, and this is on some sort of street. And we're going to just take a picture. Let's take a picture of a cat, because who doesn't love kitties? Although some people specifically are not kitty people. But we're going to go, and I'll just grab a random picture of a cat. Not my cat, because that's too cute for stream. I am instead just going to... Oh, this is a good one. This is coming from Andy Quezada. Oh, wait, this one looks like this. You have to pay for this one, so I don't want to steal anything. We'll do this one by Christina Yadikina. And this beautiful picture of a kitty. And obviously, if you were to just go in and say remove background, it's going to do some cool work for you to grab that background. But if you were to just put the cat here, it's not going to feel like it is cohesive. It feels like the lighting's different, that there's something else going on. So we'll just put it right in front here. And then after we do that, we can just go and click Harmonize. And when we click Harmonize, it's going to do this generating little scroller. And when it gets to the end, it's going to provide a new flattened layer for us to see what it looks like. And it's really incredible stuff. It gives you 3 options so that you can cycle through. And then if you want to, you can continue to edit on top of it. But it will add it all as one singular thing. But I mean, look at that. You can cycle through these different ones, and you can see which one makes the most sense. But you can see it even adds some shadowing on the side if we wanted to add something. I feel like this middle one might be the middle one might be the best here. If we also wanted to add like a chair, we could also do that. This is coming from Ruslan Bardash, and we're going to do the same thing where we just grab it, throw it in, remove background. I'm also doing processing in the cloud for remove background, so it does a really good job at cutting everything out. and then you can just hit harmonize again, and before you know it, it's gonna work out. While it's doing that, I do want to say hello to Hudspa, to Vakair, to Evie, to Alyssa, to Clever. Thank you to everyone over on YouTube saying hello. Yes, new graphics, so excited for that. But you can see that it's changing the color tone to make things feel more cohesive. But you also have the ability to be able to cycle through it. It's adding shadows to the ground. It's keeping everything in mind. And obviously, like, you know, things are coming along, and this is incredible. Would not be able to predict this, you know, 2 years ago, a year ago, and now it's gotten to such a place. But, like, it's still giving you the opportunity that if I wanted to do something where I came in here and I wanted to grab something like the dodge tool or the burn tool and adjust the midtones down here, you still can totally do that. And then you can use your expertise as a designer to then elevate anything that's already kind of there. It's the whole idea of being able to use AI tools as a way to elevate designers, not replace designers, and just hopefully speeds up your workflow and makes things easier for you as a designer or an artist, or maybe someone who's just like a social media manager who you don't have a designer on the team and you ended up becoming the designer for the team. And that's pretty cool because then it introduces a whole new set of people into the world of design, which is something that obviously we all started out as someone who had an itch for design and then got there. On the blog post for the Adobe blog, you can see that there's a whole rundown of all the new features. Harmonize obviously being my favorite, but there's also generative upscale, which is really cool. Previously, when you were going in and you were upscaling something, you had to go into image size, and you would just have to maybe cycle between the resampling tools like Preserve Details or Bicubic Smoother, and you'd have to find out the best one. And even then, it was still just doing its best guess of kind of trying to scale things up. Now there is the generative upscale, which is also still in beta, and you can go in and you can go up to 4 times as big. So this is obviously going to go from 2,000 to 8,000, which I'm not looking to do because that's going to be a little bit of silly. But the generative expanding right now is set to 4096, so wouldn't necessarily make sense for this one. But if we just do an upscale of 2 times fold to bring this up, you can see that it's going to add details and it's going to do its best guess to make, you know, it more larger and bigger. One thing I will say, guys, is this is not NCIS. This is not and you see like if this is with it with the generative upscale, this is with it just enlarged, and you can see there's details in the bricks, details in the road that add, you know, good texture. You know, you can see that the fur of the cat gets, so there's some things that you know, you want to be cognizant of, and maybe you even just like mask things in out too, you know, like, so maybe we want to only focus on the upscaling of the cat that isn't actually in the picture. So we're doing overwork, but you could go in and you can mask just like anything else, and you can see that you know, you then have kind of this upscale that has between the two. Evie's saying pretty. And this is not NCIS enhanced. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like with all of these tools too, it's really important in the courts and stuff that like we're not going to be able to use these tools and bring them into a court and like zoom in on a license plate and say enhance and be able to read it if you can't read it in the original picture, because that's not what it's doing. It's making its best guess. It's going off of other information and saying this is what this texture normally looks like. When we enhance it and we make it bigger, like let's make our best case and best judgment to be able to enhance it. But like especially with like patterns down here where it really is just pulling the right shapes and then saying that this is what is here, reflective things as well. It really is just a good way, especially if, you know, a client is giving you a piece of work and you don't have a higher image, but you know, you just need to get the idea of it. Maybe it's not the main source. This is something that's really helpful, and I'm excited about these two things. Trying to pay attention to all the chat here. Oliver's also upset about it not being NCIS. He wants to pull 4K images of car reg plates out of reflection on someone's glasses. Exact. Yep. See, so everyone knows what I'm talking about. I just want to make sure that it's clear, because I think that sometimes people see this stuff and they're like, oh wow, we're like gonna get there, but that's a completely different thing. But generative upscale beta, very excited. There's also improved remove tools, which you guys have seen before on the show, but this is just a way of being able to really work with the latest model to really remove things rather than accidentally replace them. Sometimes in the past, when you did the remove tool or you tried to gen fill something, it would then put in another person, or it would be like, oh, you want to remove this tree? I'll give you a different tree. And now it's really getting to a point where it's understanding that you want to just get rid of something and is able to take that out of the picture entirely rather than maybe replacing it with something that you don't want to. They're also introducing projects, which is a new way to organize and collaborate. And then this is also saying more creative control with the Gen AI model picker for generative fill and generative expand. It is a new capability within Photoshop Desktop that allows you to choose between different Firefly image models from the first one to Firefly Image 3. And it helps you have more control over what you want so that you can really make the best of what you have. Very exciting. These are the tools that I'm really excited about. When I saw Harmonize over in Sneaks for Adobe Max, I was so excited to be able to try it out. And I'm very happy and very pleased to say that when I was trying it out and playing with different things, that it really does get me a good step of the way. It's not a magic fix-all button, but it is a exciting new approach to being able to do photo editing very quickly. Evie says, the only thing that I ever do with the remove tool is remove zits. What can I say? You know, middle school Ryan would love to hear that, I will say. I had quite the acne problem when I was younger, and I would not wish that on anybody. Next up, some more Adobe news is some Firefly additions. And the one that I thought was really cool here is there is new generative sound effects features that launched last week. And this is where you essentially can go in onto Firefly and you upload your reference video and you say, okay, this is my video of me riding a bike. I want a sound of chirping birds to happen while I'm riding the bike. And so then you like record your voice over top of it, and then it uses generative understanding to be able to say, oh, they're trying to put birds in this spot based off of this footage. They have a little example video here that I'm going to share. So let's check it out.
Moo, moo.
So naturally, Adobe is a big company, and I don't have the privilege of being able to talk to everyone with these videos when they're getting released, and you know who's behind what. But I do want to know who they paid to say moo, to have their voice be the example one of you being able to record your own voice. Just say, okay, yeah, moo. And it turned out great. Obviously, it's something that is very natural, and people are going to be able to record themselves making things. But it's one of the... man, they should get some credit at the end of just like voice acting provided by Susan. Also launching is text to avatar beta. You can turn your scripts into engaging avatar-led videos with just a few clicks. I don't think we need videos for this. I mean, audio for this one. So I can actually kind of talk over top of this one. But this is a lot of talking head videos where you can then have it be presenter-led, where maybe you don't have access to a full recording or something, but you don't want to necessarily have your crappy background in the shot of you talking, and maybe you need something that feels a little bit more buttoned up, suit and tie. But this is something that can help you create videos with custom scripts and then be able to export it into a video of your choosing. Of course, with content credentials, you can always check out to make sure that it is AI generated, so that there is transparency and clarity, so that we're not just creating like deep fakes of people without understanding that there is generative behind it. And everything here is, just like anything else, needs to be used with ethics in mind, morals in mind. The thing to call out, as always, it's commercially safe, production ready. It's only trained on licensed work, so you know that if you're using it, you're able to also put it in your professional products, and it's not off of stolen, copyrighted content. There's a lot more to read through, all on the Firefly blog. It's linked in the Raindrop, which is available in the link of the description of this show, and then also throwing them in the chat as we move along. In one more thing of Adobe news, before we move on to some non-Adobe news, I wanted to talk a little bit about this new vodcast that just premiered right before this show. They were interviewing Kara Sykes, who's a good friend of the show, just an overall great person all around, and Emily and Andrew were on there asking Kara all about her unique creative journey. She's done a lot of things, from right now working for a D&D company where she is creating some really cool social content, where she's also been a fantastic illustrator, has done some really cool stickers, including for Facebook. And she's also been a streamer on Adobe Live. She's been a streamer on Behance, and she has a really unique voice in being able to create colorful imagery that is unique. And it's really nice being able to hear her perspective and have her on the show. The vodcast is going to be regularly updated. I think the next one is in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Make sure that you join the Adobe Live Discord. As you guys know, I'm always pushing the Adobe Live Discord. It's a great place to be able to talk about the shows when we're offline, also when we're online, whatever works for you. But I just created a new channel with vodcasts, and there are times where I'm going in here, and I have now made it so you can clip the the things from the vodcast. So, for example, this happened earlier today.
Those people can party. That's the more boring the conference, the better the parties. That's how it always is. Those people can party. That's the more boring the conference, the better the parties. That's how it always.
So make sure that you always check those out. Would love to see your clips. Also, if you ever have clips of File New, would love to see those as well. And the other clip that I think I did, it was mostly just me clipping Andrew, I feel like.
I open up the drawer and it's just full of snakes. Hey everybody, welcome back. we cut out for a second there. We're going to come back with chat questions.
So make sure you check those out for some of the best clips, some of the great moments, and then also just get to know each other a little bit more. You guys know that we were not live last week because we were switching between, and I was in the File New channel just kind of posting things as I came across them throughout the week. A lot of the stuff we will be talking about today, but other stuff kind of skirts by without necessarily having time or relevance to then pop into the show today. So I would love to hear your thoughts about stuff. There's also great submissions too. Keys, I know, put in this cool ballerina spinning clockwise thing after we had already looked at a different optical illusion the other day. And it's just a good place to be able to talk about the latest news and get your latest updates. So I also have there that you can get notifications whenever we go live, depending on the shows that you're interested in. Vodcast, is that a vlog? I'm new to vodcast. Yes, so just think of a video podcast, the vodcast, in a way of like VOD is short for VOD. Or VOD is short for video. So it's kind of just a more intimate interview style show on Adobe Live. Moving on to next news, we have YouTube will identify and restrict minors' accounts with AI. Next month, YouTube will use an account's age and activity to determine if it belongs to someone under 18. A lot of updates to rights and viewership and minors, and all of the interaction online is being reevaluated and reapproached starting like this month. Over in the UK, there was a new piece of legislation that went through, especially for Discord and Reddit, where there needed to be some sort of age verification to be able to decide whether or not someone was under 18 or a minor and how they're interacting with the internet. Because as we continue to evolve as a human race, we continue to learn more about how the social media revolution is impacting our brains, impacting our society, impacting our minors. And so there are now these new updates. It's important to know that now when you are creating content online, it might be reshaping and rechanging the audience that is then being able to absorb it and interact with it. So now there are these new things where not only are they going to say, hey, are you over 18? They're actually going to be able to use different information that they have, like the age of the account and what they interact with, to be able to identify if someone is actually under 18 or not. But hilariously, this is from Emma Roth at The Verge. There was also an update, I think, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago, that there was a new way to be able to verify age. And it was basically you had to take your phone's camera and you had to kind of move your head around to be able to show that you were over 18 in the UK. But what people were doing is they were pulling up the game Death Stranding, which uses a very famous actor from like The Walking Dead, and going into photo mode and then taking their camera and putting it up to photo mode and then moving the character's head around to be able to then verify their age and then bypass this entire thing. Hilarious, terrifying. It is what it is. But it was just so amazing to see how fast the internet always works with things, and when especially there are restrictions or things, between people and their content. Obviously, you can always use a VPN where people, in Europe tend to, make it look like they're watching from America so they can watch American shows. But this is a whole different process, way more kind of like guerrilla approach to be able to use technology with technology to fight technology. I'm sure they will probably have to find a solution for this. This is by no means endorsing this. It's just a means of, I don't know. I thought it was hilarious. The internet always tends to surprise me. Clever says 3 kids in a trench coat. Solid plan. This is the 2025 version of 3 kids in a trench coat. Also, Evie's saying Blue Sky has asked me to do this too. Seriously, do I look like I'm under 18? I mean, maybe. I mean, it could be, that could be a compliment, Maybe you just look very, very youthful. But also, speaking of some AI stuff, this happened not too long after our last stream, because I know this is from July 18th, and this is from Aisha Malik over on TechCrunch. This is about DuckDuckGo, which is a privacy-forward search engine that's alternative to Google. They mostly have been all about being able to hide your search history and your search from the actual search engine, because as you know, when you search things on Google, it is tracking you what you're searching to then later sell that data or use that data for you to buy other things. But they also continue to try other approaches to being able to be standing out from the search engine world, and they recently announced that you can hide AI-generated images in search results. A lot of people are having issues when they're searching for something. A lot of top images are ones that have been generated, which could work if you're looking for just a picture of a cow, but maybe if you're looking for a generic picture of maybe a bag that you want, or if you want a specific scientifically accurate picture of, in this case, they use a baby peacock, you now have the ability to go in and hit hide. It is interesting to wonder how they're going to be able to figure this out if something doesn't have content credentials on it. With Adobe, you have content credentials where you can always click it and you can identify it as being an AI-generated image, as an edited image. But for other images, sometimes there are times when someone has not specified that it is generative AI and it's not coming from Photoshop. So there's not necessarily a way to do it. I don't know if they're going to implement AI to be able to detect AI. As we know, that's not always entirely easy to do. I know there are also some AI detectors with ChatGPT to be able to see if someone was using ChatGPT, and those weren't always accurate because sometimes it said this was AI generated when it was not, and vice versa. So we'll have to see. But it is interesting to see at least a step in the right direction of being able to really focus on transparency and focus on what is real, what is being generated, and what is being manipulated. Because as we continue to work on the internet, the harder it's going to get, and as better as these tools get, the harder it's going to get. Next up, we have the news about ChatGPT introducing a new study feature. I thought this was also some happy news with some AI. I know that a lot of times we're really worried about kids writing papers and not writing papers anymore and just throwing it into OpenAI and being able to just say, write me a paper. But this is a new learning tool that is then being launched by OpenAI. It can offer interactive prompts and quizzes to help you learn more about what you're studying. And this comes from Jay Peter at The Verge. It says that ChatGPT is becoming a go-to tool for students, and they're committed to ensuring it fosters deeper understanding and learning. They're introducing study mode in ChatGPT, a learning experience that helps you work through problems step by step instead of just getting an answer. So here's the video that they posted. You can see in the past where it was just saying that, like, this is, you know, can you help me with this problem? It's going to then talk about what kind of problem it is and what you can do to try to figure it out and be able to then make it farther and be able to not just give you the answer, but walk you through so that you come to the answer, which is a feature that you can turn on and off. I don't know if all the kids will do it, but I do think it's a really good resource. I'd be interested to hear the accuracy metrics for it too, because you don't want to necessarily learn something that's hallucinated. But I do think that this is something that has that contextual back and forth where sometimes there's harder things to understand. This could be something that could help people talk to someone when they would otherwise just have to be, you know, jumping into the books and be like, I really don't get it, which, you know, I sometimes ran into as a kid. So something else that I think would be really cool. And then finally, the last thing that I have for today, for news at least, is the conference. This is something that I just learned about because we're going to be doing a small event in New York with a screening of this. And this is on by the Good Type crew. This is a conference on September 17th through the 19th, and it's all about type because obviously conference, like conference. It's got some really cool speakers that you guys are probably pretty familiar with. Ellen Lupton, she was a teacher at my alma mater. We have Meg Lewis, James Martin, Christy Campbell, Armin Vitt, Christy Mast, Walker Noble. You guys know these folks. These folks were on Adobe Live for the last like month and a half. Katie and Alana, Kyle Hamrick, also on Adobe Live. Veteran, among a bunch of others. So if you're interested in checking these out, some more. Look, it's just Adobe Live is all over this. So it's a really good multi-day conference with lots of different talks. And if you're interested, you can check it out at theconference.com. Speaking of type, though, talk about a transition. Let's hop into Font of the Week. Font of the Week is the time of the show every week that we do a deep dive into 3 typefaces that are available on Adobe fonts, and then we get to vote on which one we think is the superior font of the chosen 3. Bruce says, woohoo! Also, Oliver is saying that Adobe Live is everywhere. Umarcorn's excited to see Koi Sun at the... Koi-san is excited to see Koi-san at conference. Clever's already saying that she already voted, even though the poll is not even up. If you guys are wanting to participate in the poll, I am about to put it up on the YouTube poll. As always, I like to tell you guys, give it a moment before you vote, because if you vote immediately, it is going to potentially change your opinion as we hop into glyphs and we talk a little bit about the flexibility of these typefaces. But the poll is up, so hypothetically, if you want to just be bold and you just want to vote right away, you can do that right now. But for the next few minutes, we are going to be hopping in and talking about which one is which and what they do. First one is Raffine or Raffine. I'm not sure how you say it, but it is coming from the Contrast Foundry. It's an elegant font that has both thicks and thins. It says, according to their description, it says that they are a elegant, eclectic typeface with vivid character. packed with personality on many levels. It is bursting with confidence, energy, and style. An amplified variation in proportions makes typesetting any word, title, or sentence unpredictable and exciting. The difference in proportions exists not only in the width of the characters, but also in the exaggerated forms of individual letters. This deliberate asymmetry increases even further by a carefully balanced selection of swashes and ligatures. Avoid simplification at all costs. Co-Raffine is a rich and exciting design and encapsulates the free spirit of a 1919 classic silent film. A variety of opportunities to play with design with almost no limitations. Just stick to larger font sizes, please. But the elegant shapes and high contrasts evoke a wide range of associations. So we can see here, if we zoom on in, they did mention in the descriptor that it's important to use big typefaces or big point sizes just because of the dramatic changes in line width. You can see here with the E in particular, with the horizontal axis here, it is very, very, very thin as it has a crossover here with the E or the T. There are several different widths available, thin, light, regular, medium, and bold. If you go into bold, you can see that it still remains extremely thin when it is kind of crossing along the horizontal axis. They said in the chat, I like the A and the FF and the R. So let's check these out. Let's check out FF. Oh, I like the crossover of the ligature. The R is fun. Lowercase r. We always like to type out file new to see what that looks like. But even more importantly, in my opinion, is we always like to go to the glyphs panel, because the glyphs panel gives you a lot of options for alternates. It gives you options for ligatures. It gives you options for different glyphs. It's Roman. In this case, we have some like Greek letters as well. You can see that you have a lot of flexibility in being able to pick between a lot of different things, like the FI here. So this is lowercase, but we could technically bring this in, and we could switch it out if we go and we navigate to where we just were. You can see that it gives us the opportunity to be able to create things like the FF here, where there are different heights, FFJ, FFK. Here's the FI. Here's also an alternate FI. So what's really cool about this in particular is that it really gives flexibility into each individual product. You can really play around with how the letter forms interact with each other, and it's built straight into the glyphs panel. I mean, look, you can just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. And you can find some really cool stuff with even non-traditional letters in different languages. They have all the numbers for you. They have good symbols. And it is, like I said, definitely designed to be a display font at huge sizes, because if you go too tiny, it's going to be illegible. But definitely something worth visiting. And we have the extras make it the winner, according to Evie, but we haven't even looked at the other ones yet. There's so many options. It's like Christmas. Holy scrolls, says Bruce. The only ligature I ever use when I am writing about fjords, it's the FJ. Nate knows to ask about the glyphs, of course. And ligatures, yuck, says Clever. You haven't lived yet. You haven't lived yet. All right, but that's the first one. Wow, we're already 35 minutes into the show. Sorry if I'm talking too much today. We also have Gardine, which is a very cute typeface. We're going to go ahead and write out file new. This one has very curvy sides to it, especially like this I or the N. I love how the curve of the N is not just like across, but it also exceeds beyond the vertical part. So it goes across and then has a curve to the side. This is coming to us from Christopher Caldwell and Troy Leinster from Leinster Type. It says that it has unconventional humanistic quirks. Its letter forms cultivate a striking texture on or off the page. Built on a Roman foundation, the concave stems are adorned and with flared terminals and extra weight on the X height and baseline, creating a fresh, organic flavor for headlines. Short text and eco-friendly brand messaging. The family includes 5 weights from light to extra bold, and it takes inspiration from the beautiful book cover design work of Sarah W. Whitman, who lived from 1842 to 1904, an American stained glass artist, painter, and designer with an aesthetic influenced heavily by the arts and crafts movement. It's also available as a variable font. It can be licensed directly from the Foundry. You can see that, like they said, there's multiple different widths that you can use. This is just the regular one, but if you go to extra bold, it can get real fat real quick, which can be real groovy. But you can also go down to light, which can feel a little bit more refined and feel a little bit more, I don't know, slim and fashiony. As with anything else, you can go and you can look into the alternates here. Let's check out the glyphs. Same sort of thing where there's lots of extra characters, so you shouldn't run into any issue if you need to revisit with other languages. There's some great arrows, which I always love to be able to implement between the two. I like to put it in between so that it can point out. It also has all of your punctuation, which is really nice. And then even things like copyright or rights reserved, those symbols are there as well. This gives me fake Camelot vibes. Sorry. Ooh, wow. So is that a dig? Which I'm very interested in hearing. Oliver is saying that he likes this one, by the way. The Carol saying looks like bell-bottom pants, which is interesting critique as well. How do you pronounce glyphs? Glyphs or glyphs? Apurva, go home. Apurva is banned. Can we have a mod please ban Apurva? Just kidding, please don't. Ligatures become problematic sometimes in PDFs and print drivers, unreliable unless outlined, which is also very important from our #1 commenter apparently on YouTube. You have the #1 crown right now for Clever, and that's a very important call out. So make sure if you want accessibility that with these typefaces, especially if you're sending them to people who won't have the typeface on their computer, you are going to need to outline your type. But also just in general, that's a good process to get into. You can always, of course, go and highlight things, go to type, and then say match type. It's very similar in Illustrator. I don't know the exact workflow from it off the top of my head, but you can do the same thing so that you can always revive it and figure out the type afterwards. I'm worried that you might also say this next one is bell-bottom pants. Bell-bottom girls, flat-bottom girls, what's it called? This one's called Aquavit, and it is a high-contrast sans influenced by Art Nouveau, and it's coming from Felix Braden. It has 9 weights, but there are no italics, which is important. So if you need to really lean on the idea of italics, this is not your typeface. This is, let's see, a unique nonconformist display family for brands that like to break the mold. So are we breaking the mold today, folks? I like the diamond top of the eye. I like the weird N. Let's check out, I should start also writing out Ryan just to see what that looks like. Doesn't look like it has particularly a lot of alternates. So it looks like you get what you get, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's for the best. It does have a lot of shapes in its glyphs panel. It has trademark, it has copyright. It has all the punctuation that you would need. It has fractions. I really like how it has kind of the cut into letters, especially like the V here, where you can see that, where did it go? Like it's not just a V that goes into ways, it kind of swoops back around. So then you can see that's also mirrored in the W and the N. So it always has kind of this field of motion that adds some character to it that wouldn't necessarily be elsewhere. Umacorn says, isn't it also some type of drink? Well, I know that for the Gardine, they used it as a roastery example, but for this one, it looks like it is just kind of inspired just by some it's making Aquavit a go-to choice for brands in the realm of exclusive lifestyle products. Whether you're in beauty, fashion, jewelry, music, food and beverage, interior design, or anything in between, Aquavit brings a unique sense of character and authenticity to any creative project. Thanks, Felix. So those are the 3. I'm going to give you guys more time to vote. It looks like it's a pretty tight race this week. There is a clear winner at the moment, but we're 20 votes deep. We could go deeper. Right now, Aquavit is in the lead, so make sure you guys continue to vote in the event that that's not who you want to win. But next up, we have... I'm going to need you guys' help with coming up with things besides next up, because I just feel like I say next up over and over and over and over and over again during this show. So I need better transitions. Get on it. Hopping into Rebrand. Let's play a little game. This is a fun game that was posted onto Reddit. It was on the graphic design subreddit, and it is commentary specifically, I guess, on the banality or the uniformity of logos and not being able to differentiate what a logo is if it just is a swoop. So it says, without cheating, by using reverse image searching or checking the comments, can you correctly identify which companies these swooshes belong to? And it is 16 swooshes without any of the letter forms on it so that you can figure it out. I can tell you, when I first looked at this, I could only figure out 2. And first one being my credit card company, and the other one being the Nerf gun. When I looked in the comments, there was no one who went through and did all 16, so I don't even have all the answer for you guys. But it is something to be called out that I believe number 7 is McLaren. There is no Nike, which I think that's probably because everyone would be able to identify Nike right away. Keys is saying -1 for originality for these designers. Clever saying worthless swoops. Evie's saying nope, can't see anything. Alyssa's providing different transitions like switching gears, moving on. Speaking of, hey, check this out. Rick says, you're a better man than I am, Ryan. Well, I don't know. I just have to pay my bill every day to number 11. Not every day, every month. So that one kind of fills me with dread, so I'm able to identify that one very quickly. But as far as like Nerf is the one that I feel like is the most recognizable, just because it's kind of like a switch around. McLaren's apparently number 7. Here are some spoilers from Graham Cracker 0123. Apparently number 2 is for Premier Protein. Number 7 is McLaren. Number 11 is Capital One. 12 is ANSI. 14 is Scana Energy, and 16 is Nerf. So I don't know what the other ones are. If you guys are able to, you will be able to throw it in the into the Discord and let me know. But this is just a reminder that when you're creating a logo, logos are important. Stand out from the rest. Don't use a swoosh. The swoosh has been done, and it's been owned by the big companies like Nike or Capital One that really cannot, stand out from the rest. This is one that kind of happened right around. It might even happen before the last episode that we had, but I did want to call it out. On the left is the old Range Rover logo. On the right is the new Range Rover logo. This almost kind of looks, in a way, like Peter Bex's logo, but on a bad day. Because this one is way less legible. I can see what they're maybe trying to go for here, but it does not read to me. It's something of, I don't know, the car companies this year really want to stand out and reinvent themselves. But they have this cool like pattern that they kind of want to go to. You can see like on Motor Trends, they're even kind of posting about it. It like almost feels like a handbag to me. Whereas like it feels like it's flipping around. The internet's not excited about it. I personally am not that excited about it. But what can you do? Then we have the shadow drops of Quick Draw. The New York Lottery revealed a new rebrand for their Quick Draw game. And while the colors and the shapes are very cool, what I really wanted to call out here is I think that it's really nice when they are able to use the imagery for their logo as an iconic appreciation of the medium itself. So it deals with those ping pong balls that pop out with the numbers. And so this animation of the swooping in very quickly and out is a cool way to be able to not only bring energy into the logo, but is also a way of being able to be like, oh, that's what this is. And it makes a clear, distinct connection between the two things. As always, this is from Brand New. They have a really great write-up. This is coming from Armin. And this is, it says, it's a game of the New York Lottery, a Keno-style game drawn every 4 minutes. They choose 1 through 10 numbers. And that just gives us a background. I don't want to scroll through the whole thing because this is a paid service, and they are a fantastic thing. So make sure you check it out. Bruce says, well done. And Evie says that they are always a fan of big, fat shadow drops, which I also agree. Rick wants to know how they do animations on newspapers. That would be a flip book, and they have to do a flip book every single time. Axel says like a bingo. And then one other one that I wanted to put on is, you guys know that I use the Arc browser. This is from the Browser Company of New York. They are actually recently rebranding and changing because they're switching their brand and they're moving away from Arc browser, which I'm not wild about. But this is the before on the left, and this is the after on the right. They're moving towards a AI-powered browser called Dia that like kind of watches everything you do, and then you can like interact with your browser. So while I do like both of these logos, I think the one on the right probably doesn't speak the same message that they really want to. For me, it reads way more of 1984. I see an eye. It feels a little bit more looming. I do really enjoy the crest and this like signia of it all. It really feels like you can stamp it onto a lot of things. Evie's saying it looks like the UN symbol, which that could be true. Umacorn saying, "Oh, I like the old logo more." The type for here is really cool. I like the crossing of the W's, and I like the italics of. But yeah, I don't know. Bruce is appreciating the brand new logo itself. Yes, they did that rebrand about a year or two ago. Very pretty. They know what they're doing. They analyze redesigns and do a great job at it. So they obviously know what they're doing. I love the connection of the R and the A and the D and the N, but it still reads completely brand new. Your brain fills in all the spots. So they are smart in what they do. I do like the idea of these kind of stamps and badges. So we are then going to move over to our next segment, which is resources, and this is coming from Planet People Studio, which is all about 7 tools badge designers love. So a friend of the show, Planet People Studio, recently uploaded this reel about 7 tools badge designers love. I did not know all of these. First being corners options. I did know this one. You can switch through, so it's not just circular when you're adjusting the corners. You can also switch into cuts and several different shapes. This type on path, you can then also change it to be stair step, which means that you don't have to manually go through. Have appearance panels, effects, where you can go and then you're able to adjust accordingly to then offset paths or be able to kind of live edit type effects. You can do the touch type tool, which is when you can move around the type without having to outline everything, and it's still completely editable, which is nice. So you could still go in here and rewrite hardly, and it will still update. And then you have brush type and width tool, where if you bring it in and you create an art brush out of it, then you're able to then create kind of a direct brush of it, and then you're able to adjust the sections of it. Dash line options go far beyond just being able to add dots like little lines, but you're able to use it also as circles. And then finally, envelope distort mesh, where this lets you modify the type in a way that is more shape-shifting and is able to fit your badges in the end. Big thanks to Planet People Studio for letting me use this reel on the show. The link to his Instagram is in the raindrop. Make sure you check it out. He always posts a bunch of really helpful stuff. You can see I have it saved down here, but there's a bunch of different things that he's constantly updating that is checking it out. Then we have Packer, which is a layer organization file available on AE Scripts. It is a plugin that is name your own price. So if you are strapped for cash and you need to do it for free, you can do it. But if you want to support the designers, the developers of it, it can be up to $10. You just click it, and it organizes all of your type. And makes it not all your type, but your folders. So it goes from a crazy kind of mess of a project straight into assets, audio, footage, images, and miscellaneous, and you're able to adjust it accordingly. We also have a tutorial on the threads, the Instagram threads, for how to create a holographic effect. This is coming from Ollie's Doodles, and this is in Adobe Illustrator, which is really cool. This was commented on by our friend Kelsey Slay, who you guys know as an Adobe evangelist, and that's how I figured it out. But you can see here that if you draw a simple shape, you change the fill to stroke, you add a gradient, you adjust the gradient, you expand the appearance, you draw a new shape, you add a gradient, you adjust the gradient, you blend the mode, and you add a design. You can get this really cool holographic view within duplicate, or is that it's supposed to be duplicate? Yeah, duplicate, not duplicate. But you can get a link to this talk through to then be able to see how you can make a holographic approach to all of your designs, which is really nice because I feel like I see this a lot, and I've always wondered how people necessarily do it. But it feels really strong with a bunch of the highlights and what have you. That's Michael Scott's friend's name. Ollie's Doodles. What is that? Yeah. You use Threads, Ryan? I fall into it every now and then, especially when I'm on Instagram. It then pops across. And guys, an hour is not a long enough time for this show anymore. I feel like we used to not be able to get through. We used to fly through everything, and now we necessarily kind of don't get through everything at the end of it. We have 5 social media trends to try right now. It's on the Adobe Express blog. This is a good rundown of 5 different things you can try. This includes make up your own song, gamify your product, inspire with Hope Core, play a game, and create copy pasta. These are 5 cool different approaches that you can have to, just if you're looking for a content calendar and being able to fill it up with stuff, these are things that you can make your own and have fun with, and also help make them all within Adobe Express, because guess what? There are templates that allow you to be able to create them off the spot, or you can create your own and edit them in general. Font, hurry. Okay. We'll do one more and then we'll go to Font of the Week. This last one is from Claudie, who we like to always highlight her Reddit posts. And this is for an Adobe Illustrator tutorial with bespoke grain brush. You can go and you can add this fun kind of textured under your brushes window, and then you can just paint it in with the scatter brush. That way it feels more authentic, and you can adjust things like the size, the spacing, the scatter, and the rotation. And then when you draw inside, then you can kind of add this texture, and it's all vectors, so that you can scale it all the way up or all the way down. It has a full write-up on to how to do each of these steps, all on the Reddit post that are then also linked to in the raindrop. Just because I teased it at the beginning of the show, I also really want to be able to highlight Motion Ape. It's a free plugin for After Effects that is makes managing 3D cameras simple and intuitive. It automates key tasks like setting up camera rigs, assigning targets, smoothing transitions, handling autofocus, and adjusting camera roll with built-in auto movement for gentle drifting and customizable shake presets. It helps create lifelike dynamic camera motions with ease. And like I said, it's free. It's available on motionape.com. All right. Norwegian Wood said, first time, great show. Thank you so much. We will be back next week. But before we go away, we should probably pick out the font of the week. And we're going to give it the little crown, which I still probably feel like we need to have a little crown moment itself. Lots of other stuff. I always wonder if I should push it off to the next show, or if I should just say check out the raindrop. But right now it's all tied with 27 votes. So unless we get a new vote in the next 10 seconds, is it going to be our first tie? Or am I going to have to hop in and vote on my own? Which I think I had to do last week. But the fun thing is next week, it's not going to be me, guys. We're going to have a guest host because I have to do an on-site for Adobe. So Jacob Paris is actually going to be the host next week. And he's going to do a great job, and I'm very excited about it. And then I'm back for a week. And then the week after that, Wade is going to be hosting it because I'm getting married. So I love the fact that we're going to be able to get file new, to have multiple hosts and have it keep going, because I love this show. I love this format. I love the community that's being built here. And it looks like we can end the poll. I didn't even vote on my own. And I'm going to end the poll now. Bada bing, bada boom. Winner goes to Rafine. So congratulations to Rafine. Font of the week. Very tight, close race though. So I would recommend probably saving all of them for your projects. Stick around, but don't stick around. You should hop over to Twitch right after this, because we are moving from YouTube over to Twitch for our next show. There is what is up next after this? I think it's creative retouching. Is it creative retouching? Yes, it's creative retouching with Bella Kotek. She does really cool fantasy photo compositing, and it's a very fun interactive show. You just hop over to twitch.tv/Adobe. I will go ahead and throw it in the chat for you guys. www.twitch.tv/Adobe. Like I said, please join that Discord. It's lovely to be able to talk to you guys, and also you can submit other links. I feel bad that I was moving so fast today. I don't feel like I got to see all the chat. So also, if you have comments, stuff about today's stories, upcoming stories, previous stories, I'd love to hear it. But that's all that we have time for, unfortunately. So thank you for being here. Thanks for watching. I won't see you next week, but Jacob will be here next week. So same time, same place, different host. Should be a good time. And please give him lots of support because he's doing me a favor by filling in for me. Thank you guys, and I will see y'all real soon.